Hello, Guardians, and welcome to Destiny Reset Episode 95. This podcast is about anything and everything related to Destiny the game. If you love playing Destiny as much as we do, you're in the right place. This reset, we welcome Gabble from Destiny Ghost Stories as we talk Destiny 2 merchandise leaks, Fun and Mayhem Iron Banner, and answer your burning lore questions. Hello, Guardians, and welcome. It's Arrow Knight, and with me, of course, as always, Cyborg Sasquatch. What's up, dude?
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm excellent. I'm hoping that I don't sneeze 100 times tonight, because I've been sneezing today.
Somebody's thinking about you. Isn't that what they say?
Mic mute. Every time you hear a mic mute, if I didn't delete it, that means I sneezed. Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that before. It's you, isn't it?
And you're
All day today.
always on my mind. Speaking of on my mind, we've got a guest with us here tonight.
We do. We're on a roll.
Yeah, I'd like to welcome Mr. Gabble to the show.
Gabble Ratchet.
How are you doing, man?
Doing great.
What's
It's
up?
good to be here.
Pleasure
Glad
to
to
have
have
you.
you.
Yeah, and you're like
Been
overdue.
a long time coming.
I was going to say, I feel like this has been a long time coming.
I think I asked you to come on the show last May, if that is an indicator.
We're all so busy.
How long it takes
get
us.
it lined up.
Yeah.
We needed to pin it in and not pencil it in, right?
Right.
Right.
I was like, I need to have him on the show before I see him again in person again. So I would just feel terrible.
You're
like,
cutting it close, dude.
you want to come on the show? I know I asked you that a year ago. Well, if you don't know Gabble Ratchet, he's a member of the Destiny Ghost Stories ensemble, and we're looking forward to talking with him about himself and about some lore if we've got time.
I still think Destiny Ghost Stories has probably one of the coolest Destiny podcast logos to date.
I think it may be the coolest,
Oh,
to
man.
be honest with you.
Yeah.
Scooby does good work.
It's one of my faves. Pass that along.
I will.
Clever. So we can introduce you better to our listeners. Can we ask you a few questions about yourself?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Hopefully you know the answers.
I'll make them up if I don't.
Careful now. You got to have sources, right? What got you into Destiny, man?
Destiny. Wow. Okay. I was an RPG kid. Back in the Nintendo and Super Nintendo days, it was all about Final Fantasy and Chrono Trigger and
Nice.
all that good stuff for me.
Chrono
Fast forward a few years, I bought my original Xbox for Fable. Back when it was called Project Ego, before it ever came out.
Yeah.
I saw it on TV, on like G4 or Tech TV or whatever those channels were called way back then when I was a child. And I was like, that's the one. Like, that's finally the game that looks cool enough that it makes me want to buy an Xbox. So it came out, I bought my Xbox, and a buddy of mine was like, well, did you get Halo? I was like, what do you mean? He was like, did you get Halo? I was like, no, I don't really play those games where you just shoot people. I like to play games where you play a role. And he was like, shut up. And so he
You're
handed me
getting
his
Halo.
copies. Yeah, he's like, he handed me his copies of Halo and Halo 2 and was like, just play these, please.
Nice.
And so from then on, it was like, oh, wow, these are fantastic. I'm now a giant Bungie fan, so I played every Halo game. So as soon as Destiny was announced, of course, I was like all into it. And then it's like, wait a minute, it's got like RPG stuff too, so it's like these cool games that I've been playing,
Sold.
but it's also it was just an instant like, oh, pre-ordered. When does it come out?
No-brainer.
4 years from now? Whatever, pre-ordered.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What is
awesome.
your favorite class and weapon?
Well, definitely a warlock. I'm a void walker at heart, like through and through. I have occasionally been convinced to switch to Sunsinger in like a hard mode raid just in case, but I always usually when people are like, why don't you have self res? I'm like, why don't you have self res? I'm like, I'm a hunter, and I'm like, exactly. Like,
Not everybody has to have self-res on, guys.
It's okay.
It's funny.
Favorite weapon other than scatter grenades? Geez, scout rifles. The
Mida?
Cocytus? I don't really know how you say that one.
Cocytus.
Close enough.
Sure.
Close enough.
That's
we
a
know
good
which
one.
one you're talking about.
Yeah, but that was so my baby. It's life support hand laid stock Firefly. That thing carried me through the entirety of year 2. I've switched up a little bit here in the 3rd year just for variety's sake, but
Dude, primaries with life support are clutch.
oh yeah,
So clutch.
That's one of the reasons why it's okay to not run self res, because my gun heals me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, void build, you can do a lot of energy drain
Oh
healing
yeah, I
stuff.
definitely run nothing manacles, all energy drain, all embrace the void, life steal, all that. So
All that stuff.
Just so everybody knows, too, we were talking before the show, we've gotten to the point where we ask the class of the guest before the show, because we've decided we're going to have to say this on air. Cyborg's definitely loading the show with warlocks, guest warlocks. So
Yeah, I'll bet it. It's cool.
Yeah, he's totally doing it.
I mean, warlocks are the most knowledgeable, so it makes sense.
Right.
I will say, I mean, I cannot argue with that. You guys are definitely an interesting species.
I don't like
class.
the way you're
I mean
phrasing
class.
that.
I mean class.
That
I mean
thirst
class.
for knowledge is important.
Yes. No. Everybody loves warlocks. Okay. All right. Sorry. Destiny
I don't
2.
know. I don't know about that.
What are you most excited about? What are you most excited about?
What am I most excited about? Well, I'm
one or two things. It's hard.
Wow, that is hard. I'm most excited for hopefully more background information. Really, like there are still such huge gaps in what we know. In the fact that I have to say this is just an example. Like we don't know if it's been 100 years or 1,000 years since the collapse, right? So there's a lot of stuff to fill in. Or it could have been more than 1,000 years, right? It could have been 5,000 years for all we know. It seems like it's been less, but there's not really a solid timeline. So more details on that would be definitely what I would look forward to the most.
Awesome answer. Yeah, for sure. Very cool.
So tell us a little bit about the Destiny Ghost Stories podcast. How did you get involved with that, and what can we expect if we were to tune in?
Let's see. Well, okay, we'll go through my whole Destiny story here. Back in year 1, let's say it was January after year 1. The game had been out for 4 or 5 months by then. I was home one day with my kids. Well, I think one of my kids was sick, but was then taking a nap. So I was like, it's Tuesday. I'm gonna hop on a hard mode Vault of Glass and just get this knocked out, right? So I just hopped on LFG.com and found a group because I didn't know anybody. I wasn't in a clan, and it was halfway through the raid, my daughter woke up, and so I had to go get her, and she was crying, and there were some younger members of the fire team who got a little rude about that experience, and I was like, really? Are you going to tell me to shut my child up? Are you serious here? So I basically had this experience where I was like, okay, most of my friends from real life who had also bought this game at launch with me, they've all moved on. If this is what the Destiny experience is going to be for me, I'm just done. It's cool. It's been a really fun game. I'm going to go find something new to play. And I was like, but I really like these raids. Like there's nothing else in another game that's like this. So I really want to keep doing them. So why don't I try and find a clan, right? And find some people to actually play this game with. And so through that, I discovered the Dads of Destiny and joined up with one of their clans, which is actually where I met X-Ray, and where I met Beta Chieftain and Handsome Dragon. We were all in the same Dads of Destiny clan, and we started talking about lore there, and it all sort of blossomed from that. Beta knew he had interacted with Dropslash and Scooby Deezy on Reddit, on the Destiny lore subreddit. And so he sent a message to them, and we all just sort of came together, and we were all 6 on Xbox, and it was like, well, this is basically perfect. Let's just start a podcast.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, complete just chance. I was I was ready to put the controller down and play a new game, and instead I met all these people and we started the show, and it's been great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's very cool.
if anyone out there has never listened to Ghost Stories and you put on an episode, I would tell you, and I will say this with a smile on my face because we all think it's hilarious, I would tell you to expect the NPR of Destiny podcasts.
Nice.
I mean, our shows, they're long, they're pretty like even keel. We like to laugh and get, but they're I don't know, they're not like hype filled shows usually. It's pretty
easy listening. Well, I say
academic
that with,
sometimes.
it's easy listening with multiple rewinds for me because I feel like I missed something and I'm like, wait, I gotta go back. I feel like I missed a very important sentence. The great thing about your show is because we'll get messages sometimes and people will find our show and they'll say, "Man, I'm listening from episode 1." Cyborg and I are like, dang, that's a lot of outdated information.
First thing I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Next thing is like,
it's like,
but why?
I mean, we appreciate it. It's absolutely awesome to hear. But the thing about your show is I just went back and pulled up the Osiris episode, Trials of Osiris episode. Like your shows, your episodes are always relevant. Like it just depends on what you're wanting to hear about or listen to, you know?
Yeah, and that's awesome because that is exactly what our goal's always been. So, we talk about the lore and there are other shows that talk about the lore. And when you mention that, people have a lot of different ideas. Specifically, we talk about the things that are actually in the game and in the grimoire. Like, there's not a bunch of speculation. There's not a bunch of, this might mean this, which might mean this, which might mean, it's all just, here's what we know. And that's what we're going to go over.
Tinfoil hat free zone, right?
Yeah. Sometimes it'll be like, well, based on these two things, maybe we can guess this, but that's as far as it goes. It's very much those grimoire cards that you never read. Like, here's what they say, and it means all this crazy stuff. So, the goal is definitely what we hope is that after Destiny 4 comes out, maybe, if that's ever going to be a thing, right? That you can still go back and listen to episode 3 of Ghost Stories, and it's all still true or correct or right or useful. So
yeah,
that's our entire goal, is just to create this document, this many-houred document of the history and lore of the game.
That's a great thing for you guys as podcasters too, because your shows after one reset don't become outdated.
Yeah, they're timeless. So
yes,
I bet it's
very
interesting to go back and kind of see downloads pop up on episodes that are like a year old, and you're like, oh, what else?
Oh, they definitely. Here? Yeah. Before Rise of Iron, we had an old Iron Lords episode that got a bunch of downloads right before Rise of Iron came out.
Oh, I bet.
That's cool.
That's great, man. So we've got one burning question that the community must know up front.
Okay.
The whole community
They're really going to think we're stacking the show, depending on how we answer
torn apart from this
I feel
one
like
question.
I'm gonna anger half your community with this answer.
They're all nice, don't worry.
That's probably true regardless of the answer, so it's just which half, right?
Does pineapple belong on pizza?
No, never, ever, never,
oh, man,
never.
They are so gonna think we're doing this on purpose.
See, I didn't know.
Man. This is
I didn't
even
know
worse
his
than the
opinion
Warlocks.
on this, but I feel like I've done a great job casting this week. So,
oh man,
Can I also just throw in the answer to Jorts is no? I feel like that's sometimes a relevant question.
Unless you're John Cena, I still don't understand. That dude can pull it off, but
yeah, that one's less divisive, but
okay,
still very relevant to your worldviews. If you're like, yo, I got jorts on right now, I might be concerned.
Have we ever brought up Jinkos? Remember those? So those
Jinkos,
were
bro.
jorts. Those were like
those were like two skirts. That's a skirt for each leg.
Yeah. Those were more so. Oh my gosh, what are those? I can't believe I'm blanking
Bell
right
bottoms?
now. No. What are the pants that mostly females wear that go to about the ankles? Why am I forgetting the name?
Like capris?
Capris. There you go. Yeah. They were just wide leg capris.
I don't know. I just remember my older sister's boyfriend he wore exclusively Jinkos, and he had the really, really big ones that would be like big enough to fit around your waist at the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he listened
popular for a while.
To ICP. He was a weird
ICP.
guy.
They were popular for a while. I think I found the only, well, I don't know that you'd call them normal, but because they were still jorts, but like just normal pocketed Jinkos. I had a pair of like just normal.
Yeah, I had one
shorts,
pair,
but they were Jinkos.
Yeah, one pair.
Well, anyways, all right.
Anyways, yeah, we're on a tangent.
Yeah,
we got any announcements this week, Air Knight?
Well, we didn't until about 2 minutes ago.
Okay.
I was just thinking we could mention, of course, next week is the big premiere trip.
Yeah. Next week being the week following the.
Yeah,
when
sorry.
We're recording this on Thursday the 11th.
Yes,
you're going to hear this
early
on
again.
Tuesday the 16th.
Tuesday the 16th. So I was just thinking plans probably obviously would be to record the weekend after that event. We will, of course, get a show up normal time for you guys after the premiere. But Cyborg, I mean, I'm just going to mention this to you live. I know you're going to be flying out super late that night, right?
Yeah.
You're going to leave really late?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Depending on how busy we are, how cool would it be if we could record with laptops sitting across a table from each other? Like,
I mean, I pretty much decided that we have to at least get like 30 to 45 minutes of audio. Like,
yeah,
which we could do that in a car, like after the stream if we have to.
We've got to do some sort of recording
yeah.
while in the same room or car.
I would expect, and some of this guys, we're gonna just figure it out as our schedules come together and stuff. But if you're listening, I would expect part of the show to be some immediate takeaways that we'll put together, and then we'll probably have another part of the show after we've had a little chance to digest, and we may jump in together and record some more. Maybe we'll, I don't know. I'm going to talk to Air Knight here about it, but maybe we'll even put out, I don't know. You want to put out two different?
I was thinking this week,
different
man.
Episodes next week.
Let's just start talking about this stuff live on the show.
Yeah.
We won't even do it before.
What do you
record.
think, Gabble?
I was thinking the same thing, man. We could, I was thinking we may goof around with our format a bit. We'll do whatever we got to do to, give you guys as much information as we can.
Absolutely.
So. Yes.
Also, definitely plan to watch the reveal stream with the rest of the DRP crew. Twitch.tv/Destiny Reset. We'll be hosting the Bungie reveal stream. So if you want to jump in with the Derp fam, I'm positive that a lot of the admin team and ambassadors will be there as well. Of course, we will be sitting there, and I'll probably try to have chat up so I can throw some words towards everybody while it's going down. But be sure to jump in with us.
A bunch of ussies of the two of us freaking out.
Yeah, absolutely. Be sure to jump into the Twitch and watch it with the rest of the Derp fam. And I'm pretty sure it's like 10 a.m. Pacific the 18th, right?
Yes, I'm really actually interested to see how many viewers Bungie has on their channel, because it's through all of their streams. Depending on what they're talking about, it's interesting to see there. But yeah, I mean, what have we seen? A couple 100,000 max, like when they're announcing new DLCs. So yeah, I'm really interested to see what we see with the premiere of Destiny 2.
Yeah,
Gabble, you were sorry, you were just telling us that Drop Slash is going to be there, right?
Indeed, just confirmed a little while ago, actually.
That's awesome.
But yeah, Drop he'll be there, and then X-Ray and I'll be at Guardian Con, so we're all getting out there.
Very exciting. Can't wait to chill with you guys at Guardian Con. Well, let's talk about some news this week. We've got a couple interesting little tidbits we can pick apart. Y'all ready?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
This week at Bungie, they're mainly just talking about how excited they are.
It was a hype post.
Definitely a hype post. It definitely seems like, as D just framing it, the team is probably more excited than we are even to see what we think of Destiny 2. And obviously they've been working on this title for quite some time.
You gotta wonder too, like they know we're gonna love the game. Like they can't. It's Bungie, and it's. I mean, we're for the most part a pretty positive, loyal community, and they can't really jack it up so much to just absolutely screw the game up. So they've got to be like, they can't be. I wouldn't think they're too worried about our reactions. They know we're just gonna pretty much all pass out as soon as we see it. So I can't imagine how excited the whole team is to show it to us.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I'm just thinking from their perspective as individual developers. I'm sure that each team member is probably in their own way nervous just about how what they built and contributed is going to be received. You know, will they notice this?
Yeah.
Will they like this character model I put together? Will they like this mechanic that we're going to introduce? You know, I mean, I feel like we can't take for granted the fact that these are artists and creators in their own way. Right. And, I mean, even the most talented people, I won't use the word insecure, but they wonder, you know, how their work is going to be received, you know, you know, even the most like praised and celebrated artists that I'm familiar with, that I'll still see them put out stuff and be like, I don't know if y'all are going to like this, but check it out. And it's like incredible. So I'm excited to see what they put out, and I hope it's awesome. And I hope I can say, guys, you killed it, you know? Mm-hmm. They did bring up as well, the Men in Kilts fundraising competition was a really big success. The event as a total raised almost $89,000 for the Ronald McDonald House in Seattle, which is awesome. And Bungie won their part of that by raising $30,000 from the community, which is pretty awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And then they've got their next fundraiser that usually happens around this time every year, the Gauntlet Tabletop Tournament. That supports an organization called Treehouse, and you can give to that as well if you are interested. They do have some incentives for doing so. Player emblems, some caricatures that they'll have programmers do for you. You can also, if you give up to $250, you can play with a Bungie dev, and if you give $500, you can have lunch with the Bungie team or a portion of it. So those are pretty cool if you're interested in that.
Yeah, if we lived a little closer,
right?
I would totally think about that.
If I wasn't just about to fly halfway across the country already.
Yeah. You know, I had that thought today of without question, trip so worth it. But I had that thought today of like, wow, we're about to fly many states to see a video game premiere.
Yeah.
It's like, and then my very next thought, yeah, it's definitely totally worth it. For a day and a half though, that's the other kicker. You're not even gonna be there for 24 hours, are you?
I think I'll be there for almost right at 24 hours in California. Yep.
And it's gonna be so worth it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So worth it.
We're nerds. We can revel in this. Like,
yes.
Totally worth it.
Yeah. Without any
I'd rather do that than like, I don't know, spend the same amount of money on some other kind of crappy vacation. Like,
yeah. Yes.
So
we know what you mean.
You know what I mean. Mm-hmm. You were kind of speculating a little bit about this. We've got the server maintenance coming up that was mentioned that had to be rescheduled. It is
you're reaching, Arrow. You're reaching.
I had to tell you. It's scheduled for Wednesday, May 17th at 10 a.m. Pacific until 2 p.m. Pacific. The
key word is rescheduled.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. I think the first half of Destiny 2 is going to launch on May 18th, right after the premiere.
Wow. No.
I didn't say that before the show. I just said maybe they'll drop a live event or something.
I mean, I would just love that. So
that'd be cool.
I will enjoy the hopeful attitude.
We'll all be at work. We'll all be at work because you're.
I'd be so pissed
at that time. Yeah, but that was what I was going to say. We'll all be at work and checking Twitter feed when the servers go back up and everybody's just saying, nope, nothing. I'm just loading up a cruise.
If something was there, I would suddenly get very ill and have to go home quickly.
Yeah, right?
Oh, I'm sick. I might throw up. I got to go home. My kid's in the hospital. Just start coming up.
You know what I
with
did
stuff.
think about? I mean, all the data mining that used to happen, that doesn't happen much anymore, does it? Did they kind of put a stop to that, or has that still been happening here and there with new content? I can't remember now since the
I've seen people still pulling stuff out of the armory, classified items and stuff like that. People will call out sometimes. There's a bunch of stuff in there that you can see through the API that was never used. Mm-hmm. Just like old names of items that may have been created and used in some build,
right,
but then were changed and it just never got cleaned up.
And I don't understand how some of that works on the back end. I mean, going to a new iteration of the game, I mean, we're obviously still pulling from the same, like you said, the API and all that stuff. I mean, I would assume, do you think leading up to the sequel, things like that could still occur? Things could be found? Or is it a little different this go around because it's not just a expansion? It's obviously all still on the back end. It's coming from the same place. So
I do not know.
Yeah,
go ask somebody that's smarter than me.
The next question is, do we really want that though? Because I like to. You didn't even want to see the patrol area when we got the new patrol area. So, little tidbits of information isn't too bad. But
no, it's
after
terrible.
A while,
Stop
it. Just a little bit.
I'd rather a steady stream than a trickle of teases.
Yeah.
See, that's hard because
you don't like to be
because
teased.
of what we do on Ghost Stories. It's like, is the grimoire leaked yet? Is the grimoire leaked yet? I just want to read all the grimoire right now and know everything. Is the grimoire leaked yet? So we're like talking to like Baxter from the Ishtar Collective was always on top of that stuff, and he'd be in our chat like, nope, it's not out yet. It's not out yet. And as soon as he was like pulling it for his site, he'd shoot us a message. Hey, here's a link to all the new grimoire. It's like, perfect, thank you. It's usually like the day before. But with Destiny 2, I don't know if they make major changes to the API, that might affect their ability to pull anything until after it comes out. I don't know how they'll release any of that information for the developers and stuff. So
yeah, that's a big what if right now for a lot of people. People that make third party apps and plugins and all the really cool stuff that communities come up with. It's going to be a troublesome time.
It is. Yeah. It's also going to be weird logging into a brand new game and not knowing what to expect from any of our new tools and weapons.
Yep.
All right.
Well, that was the majority of it. We've got a Bungie bounty with a Rex, pretty cool YouTuber. Always enjoy his content. That was on the 13th. That was Saturday. If you are listening, that happened in the UK, playing Control on Xbox One. Hopefully you got a chance to grab an emblem if you're over there in the UK. And then we have some cool movies of the weeks, but I think this last edition, I don't know if you guys saw this clip on Twitter yesterday, but they had a guy, playing Iron Banner Mayhem, and he was using the artifact that allows you to reflect supers with your sword.
Oh, yeah.
And reflected a Nova Bomb back and killed 5 players. It was pretty much perfect.
It was awesome.
And it was funny because the day before we were talking about trying to do that, exact thing. We were playing Iron Banner and nobody ever went and equipped it and played around with it. I was like, that is what I want to do. I want to run a build to do that.
Yeah,
so,
it was pretty cool.
Sweet.
We got to thank the Dirt Fam too, because they usually tweet at us videos like that as well, just in case, so we don't miss them. So we appreciate that.
Yep. Now we've got a tantalizing leak from GameStop. Some merchandise that would be available through GameStop's ThinkGeek arm was, I guess, leaked. I mean, it was up on their store for pretty much a whole day or two. It's come down now. It came down pretty quick.
I tried to pull it up. It was down.
Yeah, there's some pictures, and I tweeted a video and some pictures that Meisha Sean put together. So if you want to go back, if you never got a chance to see this, what we're describing, the main objects were some hats with class designs on them for Titan, Warlock, and Hunter that had some animal or some kind of animalia symbols involved. Would love to hear what you think of this, Gabble.
Well, I think that the images they chose just sort of echo the sort of the main archetype of the three classes. I mean, you've got the strong lion, the sneaky quiet serpent, and the phoenix. I mean, that sounds like a Titan, a hunter, and a warlock to me.
Right.
So you're telling us new subclasses is complete speculation.
For sure. But I do have a question. When
these look really cool, though.
I'm trying to tie this all together for you, Arrow. When was the maintenance originally scheduled? Was it originally scheduled for this past week? Okay, but it wasn't scheduled for like today.
Yeah,
I think this past. Yeah.
Okay, darn. I was thinking maybe maybe the reveal was supposed to happen a week earlier and all this stuff was supposed to happen and they just forgot to push the dates back on revealing this merch. I was trying to tie in
appreciate you trying for me. Thank you. No. I see what you're doing there and I like it. See if we can get anything else together by the end of this show.
Yep. They had some keychains as well with some similar art, and then somebody else posted a wallet, just a general Destiny 2 wallet that they had up. But all that stuff is down now, so you can speculate as you may to what the significance of including these animal figures with the subclass hats. I mean, it definitely communicates to me that there's going to be some kind of strong ties to these symbols in Destiny 2 related to the classes. Definitely tells me, I was talking with a friend, I think like last night about just, classes and subclasses in Destiny 2, and they were conjecturing, they're like, maybe there won't be classes, like maybe it'll just be a little bit different. This tells me that the classes
I don't think they'd mess with something anywhere. That basic.
Yeah. Probably right.
No, so we got that going for us.
It's at least something familiar.
Yeah, definitely. One other thing, when I was cruising through the GameStop site, I saw they do have a new bundle if you are looking to still pre-order Destiny 2. A lot of folks were kind of disappointed with the collector's edition merch because they weren't too hot on that bag. Well, there's a new bundle on the GameStop site that is basically the game, the expansion pass, and then the collectibles that came with the second collector's edition they put out. It's basically the little Lord Saladin statue with the wolves, a keychain, the stress ball engrams, and something else I can't remember, and it's like $120, $130. So if you weren't really into the bag and you just wanted to grab something else kind of cool, that's available. I know a bunch of people might jump on that, a little more affordable price point. Some stuff people may be buying anyways, so they may see that as an advantage. So go check that out.
Yeah, that one's a cool one. You added that to the notes. I hadn't even seen it, and I was like, "Oh man!"
Yeah, I just kind of stumbled across it. I was like, "Wait, what is this one?" Okay, this is kind of cool. So check that out. But that was pretty much the majority of the news this week. It's besides this kind of stuff, it's kind of all quiet on the home front for the most part because everything new that we're going to see it next week, or this coming week on the 18th. So. Just gotta hold tight, everybody.
Getting close to
in there.
Info explosion.
A few more days if you're listening. Just 3 more days.
Getting close.
How terrible would it be to be that guy that is this close to seeing the Destiny reveal, and then they like die in a plane crash.
Cyborg. Good grief. I think you did this last time.
I mean, it
Wasn't it
happens,
something like
man.
they may not see Destiny 2 or something
I've
like
thought
that?
about
This
it.
was
I was like,
many
how bad would it
episodes
suck if, I died before Avengers Infinity War came out, and I didn't get to see it.
Everyone will be fine.
And you don't think about, well, what happens if I die? What happens to my family? Like, I'm thinking about, what happens if I miss my comic book movies? I'm an idiot.
No.
Well,
Just
gentlemen,
interesting.
since we wrapped up news, let me just ask you both, how was your reset?
It's good. I've gotten in a few games of some Mayhem Iron Banner. So I'm awful at
What do you think?
Crucible in general. Just it's fine. Like I don't play it that often, right? No, I mean,
You don't
I was
crucible much?
comparing stats with one of our listeners, and he had literally he looked at my numbers, looked at his, and he was like, "You've literally played 10% the amount of Crucible that I have." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't play it that much, but hey, I've played a whole lot of raids." So Mayhem, though, I mean, I feel like Mayhem is fun regardless of your skill level because you can just do all of the cool stuff all of the time.
Right.
So I can have a good time with it. It's been fun.
Yeah, that's what
I
I've
do like
liked.
the addition of it.
I was pretty much like, I don't care about my KD anymore. I'm just gonna have fun with this, and it gives you an excuse just to be like, screw it. I'm just gonna die and respawn and cast a super and go on.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was fun.
It's I do like it as an addition in the game. It's definitely interesting to see it for Iron Banner. As everyone knows, I'm more of the Trials guy, so I think you were even giving me trouble last week, Cyborg, or whenever you said you were. It was the Rumble Mayhem you were running around with your Sunbreaker, right? That was a week or two ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was a lot
so
of fun.
I jumped in this week, played just a few matches, and I was telling you guys before the show, the first match, I was like, yep, it's confirmed. I'm not really a fan of Mayhem. I like the idea of it, and then I played one more, and I played another, and I started absolutely destroying as a Hammer Titan, and I get it. It's fun. I give it to you, man. It's fun. The only thing is I feel like every time I pop my hammers, there's a Void Walker right there to just destroy me. It seems like it's a Void Walker. I will say Void and Goldie. Obviously, those are good choices. I mean, those Guardians are smart. That's what they should be running. But it's fun though. It's a good time. I don't use obviously for obvious reasons. You don't use your primary very much for the fun factor. It's all about supers and nades. I don't spam my nades enough. I don't think though. I can't remember to spam those stickies.
Dude, it's like 90% sticky game. Like that's pretty much what that mode is.
It is fun though. You have to do exactly what we were talking about last week. You've gotta go in with the complete opposite mentality of Trials of Osiris and just
troll your heart out.
Just have fun.
That's why I like
just
it.
have a good time.
Yeah.
Have a good time in a different way. It's fun.
Yep. Well, and I think it gives you like kind of a playground to kind of get with your team and be like, what can we do? What can we do to make this fun? Like, we got Thaden on our team the other night to switch to a bubble with blessings. So I was like, pop the bubble. We'll all run in together, like pop the bubble. We'll get the blessings, and then we can go in and like spam supers without all getting killed. Kind of kamikaze. But what we would end up doing was just get him to post the bubble in kind of like a kill zone, just like a hotbox part of the map. And then we would all just kind of hover around the bubble and protect it like a game. And people will just keep coming, man, because it's mayhem. So they're like, I got a super, like I could take this on. And
that's great.
We would keep it up for a while a lot of the time. It was kind of fun. And plus you'd get that, your extra shield to protect you against like grenades or whatever if they were coming in, and feed you orbs and stuff. So it's pretty fun. But I've seen some kind of scary team builds, all bubble bros, all Goldie guns, like just terrifying just to have constantly just have golden gun teams just everywhere. Like every corner, there's a golden gun.
Yeah.
If they see you,
I'm
you're
hoping,
dead.
You're toast. I'm hoping to get in a full Dirt Fam fire team with it before reset, just to experience the fun of that. I did realize very quickly, I mean, this is pretty obvious, but I got out my no land almost instantly, because if you're going to get a primary kill, it's got to be a single shot, pretty much.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just use your super.
Yeah, good luck.
It's fun.
Yeah, good luck getting that shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll be dead while you're trying to line them up.
Exactly.
That's what stinks.
It's fun though. I'm definitely liking that they threw it up for Iron Banner. It's a good time.
Yeah, it's a good time to just, for them to kind of throw the towel and be like, y'all just have fun. Like, whatever. Here's this. Play that. Make everything
Go out and
crazy.
have a good time.
Yeah.
Just be home by midnight.
Forget it. Just
I just wish
they
they played up more of the fact that it's May. Like, it's the month of May. And it's Mayhem, Iron. Like, how was that not a thing?
Nice.
Oh, well.
May Madness.
It's funny because it's true. Man. I didn't even pick that up. Well, unless you guys have some other fun reset talk for this part of the show.
I was just going to mention, remember, I picked up that Icarus palindrome. You did not, because you said you're swimming in awesome hand cannons, apparently. That was 2 weeks ago now, if you're listening to this. Icarus rifled and rangefinder. What else are you swimming in? Isn't there another gun, Cyborg, you always talk about you get all the time? Or another
I've gotten
roll?
like 5 more clever dragons, and I have a bunch of those in the vault. I just I don't care what the roll is. I don't use anymore. So yeah, I got a bunch of palindromes, a bunch of clever dragons sitting in there. A lot of other stuff I cleared out pretty recently.
Yeah,
like that I had just kept rolls, and I was like, all right, I got to pick like A+ or A- roll.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I never use either of the guns, I just can't let them go.
Yeah, I always have that thought when I'm dismantling them. I'm like, wait, maybe I'm overlooking something. I could totally dismantle this and realize I should have kept it.
I went before
before
Rise of Iron.
Yep.
Or maybe right after Rise of Iron. Anyway, right around that time, I went through my vault, after having played since launch, and Everybody's vault is stuffed full no matter how big they make it, and emptied it completely.
Yeah.
Got to the point where I had
completely
enough, or a few enough guns and armor pieces that I could store them on my characters, and my vault was empty.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I do not know,
dude. I still,
what kind of
after
person
several
you are
passes,
that you do that.
I still, after several passes through my vault, have to move stuff off a character to move it to that character to then fill it back, put it back in the vault.
Yep.
I've got to get.
It's okay to be a hoarder, though. I mean, that's all right.
I'm pretty much there again now. It's pretty much encouraged in this game.
Your vault. I envy your vault, and I envy my Xbox vault. Because I open that thing up, and it's like, wow, I've got so much space,
so much room for activities. Well, we threw up a little Q&A chat in our Discord for everybody to ask questions, and they definitely produce. They got some interesting ones here. So Arrow,
you also turn into like your hall monitor role too. You're like, all right, Dirt Fam.
Spend more time deleting posts than reading them. It's okay.
I find that part.
It's okay.
Fun.
It's part of it. So do you wanna pick out some questions for us, Arrow, that we can throw to our friend Gabble, and we can put him in the hot seat for a little while?
You okay with that, Gabble?
Pick out the very first one. That'd be awesome.
Let's do it.
The very first one?
Like
right after Cyborg's initial post? Are the Vex alive or robots?
Yeah, so the Vex are not robots. The Vex are the little white goo in the middle. Yeah. They just build robot frames to walk around.
Old Vex milk.
Yeah, Vex milk. Yeah. Oh, by the way, that was the unknown 971. Just give you a little credit there. Thank you.
Gabble, you probably seen that animation that somebody pulled out of somebody's like portfolio. The Vex one?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it's so amazing.
So cool.
Have you seen that, Arrow? Do you know which one I'm talking about?
I think so.
It was fairly recently that surfaced.
Mm-hmm.
Really good kind of visual display of what happens with the Vex. But they're basically, they call it milk. What is the term? Radiolara? Is that what's thrown around?
Yeah. Radiolaria. Mm-hmm. A silicate-based sort of kind of bacterial type of organism that build silicate skeletons in the real world
to act as their, I guess their body, their physical manifestation. So yeah, I guess you could say the Vex are alive indeed, right?
For sure.
Now, where they came from, that's the mystery. Our friend Matty Misfit wanted to know the lion, the phoenix, and the snake. What does it mean? I don't know if we could answer that yet.
Yeah, well, we sort of touched on that a little bit ago. But yeah, I just think that they sort of embody the ideas of the three classes.
This next one, of course, is about the Vex as well. Them's Tattoos wants to know, are the Vex a hostile race or just architects that are protecting their creations?
That's a really good question. The answer is yes.
Yes, to both.
They are protecting their creations, and they are so... Their creations leave no room for something as uncontrollable as Guardians. So they don't want us around, although they had to use us to save them. So we have a weird relationship with the Vex.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Russia 7433. I gotta ask this question of this Guardian and then follow it with one of my own. In what order should I read the Rasputin cards?
Oh man. I definitely can't call them out by number to know what order they go in without actually sitting down and looking at them for a second.
A larger, a more broad question. This is what I kind of mentioned the last episode or two. When I start, I always love to read the lore, but I feel so overwhelmed. I don't know where to start. I always like to do things in chronological order when it comes to that kind of stuff, but it doesn't really fully work with Destiny lore. Like, what in a bigger, more broad question, adding to this Guardian, like how would you recommend if someone wanted to dive into the lore? Like, is there any strategy to it? Or should we just listen to your episode from you guys' episode from 1 on?
Well, I mean, even if you did that though, like there would be huge holes because there's stuff we haven't even begun to talk about. We just in the past month really started talking about the Vex and the Vault of Glass. That's been around
which is year 1 stuff,
launch.
yeah.
You know what I mean? yeah. So if anybody really wanted to get into it, you sort of just have to pick one topic and just be like, okay, I'm going to learn about Rasputin, or I'm going to learn about the Vex, and just focus on that. And then once you feel like you've read all that, then you move on to the next one.
There's probably,
as far as
you'll naturally branch out to something else, I'm sure. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, of course, because they've done a really great job tying it all together in interesting ways. If you go back and read the Books of Sorrow, which is the history of the Hive, the Vex are involved in the history of the Hive. So then it's like, oh, and then it just sends you right over to the Vex. And if because it can be really daunting to try and pull all that stuff together, because you've got like these ghost fragment cards and you've got quotes in the game. If you guys have ever been to the Ishtar Collective, which is ishtar-collective.net, they do a fantastic job of categorizing all the Grimoire cards, so you can just pick a topic and click on it, and it'll just pull up every card that ties into that topic and let you just read them.
Okay.
Yeah, which is awesome.
I've been there, but I don't remember that feature.
Yeah. I mean, ghost stories probably wouldn't exist, or at least wouldn't be as well researched without the awesome work that those guys do, because they lay it all out. You can just click, Shin Malphur, and you get those cards that we don't talk about on Ghost Stories. But
should we bleep that when you said that just now?
No, it's fine.
It's a different show.
Come here and listen to Gabble for the first time talk about Dwindler's Ridge. Yeah, that's very helpful. I've heard that from Errol several times is, the complexity of all the lore and how it's pieces. It's not a book. It's not chronological. It can be a little bit intimidating for a lot of people. But there's so many resources that the community has put together to help kind of organize and, create connections and pathways. I mean, there's a lot of different places you can go, but I think Ishtar Collective is a great landing page if you're interested in the lore, and just dive in and
dive in.
Prepare for a long night.
And that was all very right, exactly. That's all very intentional on Bungie's part, right? They specifically fragmented all of this so that a community would have to come together to put it all together and figure it all out. It's
a good
I
way
don't know
to
if you
put
guys
it.
played any of the Dark Souls games.
Some.
But it's very similar. Where there's tons of history in those games. There's thousands of years of history hidden in the. I love them. They're like some of my favorite games ever. So if you really read all the item descriptions and talk to all the characters, you can put together thousands of years of crazy things that have gone on in that world. And that community as well came together and has built these huge wikis, and there's all these YouTubers and stuff. So Bungie made a pretty big effort with Destiny to try and build something similar, and I think they did a great job.
Yeah.
Well, and as a plus, they don't have to curate their own lore Bible either, do they? They probably have Ishtar Collective up in the writer's room, Hold on, before I write this, let me go back and double check what this said. Well, J.H. Sweeps wanted to know, who at Bungie would you most like to sit down and talk with?
Wow. Well, like at this exact moment, probably Luke Smith.
Right.
I mean, he's the director on Destiny 2, right? I have the privilege of still being in contact with Seth Dickinson, who wrote the Books of Sorrow and did a bunch of grimoire writing for Vanilla and the Taken King.
Very cool.
So that's kind of cheating because I still kind of talk to him fairly regularly. John Goff, I think it's Goff.
Yeah.
I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Who's an amazing artist and actually wrote all the Dwindler's Ridge cards. I actually do like that story, but
it's kind of a cliche now.
We'll talk about it on Ghost Stories one day. But yeah, those are great, and it would be cool to talk to him for sure. Because I don't think it's done. I don't think it's over. I think there's
more to it.
Another whole side of it that they've hinted at that we'll get one day.
Well, that's the beauty of a good story, is it doesn't have to end, right? There's always room.
For sure.
Always room for the sequel and for more until they decide, okay, now it's time to wrap it up. This is the end.
Right.
All right, Average Joe 227. What are your favorite lore cards, and what would you like to see most elaborated in Destiny 2?
The Ghost Fragment Vex cards, the story of the Ishtar Collective scientists who are studying the Vex core and realize that it's simulating them perfectly in real time. That's my favorite grimoire story.
That one's interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So was there a part 2 to that?
Part 2, what lore do you hope is more elaborated in or with in Destiny 2?
Oh. Well, I mean, I think...
specific lore.
Yeah.
Kind of a tough one.
I mean, the Vex have always been my favorite, so I've always sort of wanted the Books of Sorrow equivalent for the Vex, just to get some of their history.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're obviously going to get a lot of Cabal, and that's cool because they seem to have the least amount of developed lore in Destiny at this point. So it'll be cool to get a lot more about them, because I don't really know how to feel about them, because we don't know anything about where they came from. So that's cool. But yeah, I'm going to hold out for all those sweet Vexy details.
I'm interested. I know that we've gotten a good amount on the Fallen, especially with like the House of Wolves tomes that came along and stuff. But I really would like to see more, backstory and lore on what their civilization was like before it had its own cataclysm.
Yeah, it's interesting. We get a lot of questions about that because I think it's easy to assume that, well, the Traveler was with the Fallen before, so that was probably very similar to our Golden Age, and they probably did things. And it's like, why? They're a completely different alien culture. Their time with the Traveler was probably nothing like our time with the Traveler,
Right.
you know?
Well, especially because they kind of
didn't
are
have
technology worshippers in a sense.
Right.
It'd be interesting to know what their society was like.
Yeah, I hope, and just as a reader, I hope it was significantly different, because that'd be boring if
Right.
it was the same. But I mean, you know, we know they didn't have space magic powers like we do. That there had never been a Guardian, it says, so there was nothing like what we are. It was, yeah, that would be cool to know.
Definitely. JTB wants to know, who is the hive god Nokris? That's a loaded one there.
That is an unanswerable question. There are so many theories, and there is zero evidence of anything other than a name
And a statue. Yeah.
and a statue that we scan. And Ghost says, "I don't know." there's the world's grave has, like, it contains an unfathomable amount of information and doesn't mention that name, according to Ghost. So,
which is interesting. I've heard a couple theories on this, and Jay, you have to keep in mind, since that's all we know, we can't even know that he's a hive god. We can't know if he was related to Oryx, if he preceded Oryx, if she was written out of history, obviously, in some regard. But I've seen a few things thrown around that he could be, you know, Oryx's other child, could be his brother, could be XYZ. I mean, you name it, but there's no other information. So either it's a red herring, or it's something that maybe we'll see in the future that we need to worry about, you know. And they do say, and Gabble, I guess you could elaborate on this, there's alliteration of the fact that the books of sorrow are subjectively written and could be faulty, right? Could be deceptive.
absolutely. So, I mean, Oryx is the in-game author of the Books of Sorrow. So you've got that perspective where Oryx is potentially writing these things to present his
opus,
position,
right?
as maybe more favorable than it might have actually been. On top of that, we don't read Ancient Hive. Mm-hmm. So somebody on Earth translated Oryx's writing into English, and who was that person, and did they have, you know, when you translate something, it can be easy to sort of inject inflection of your own into it. So there are a good two levels of way that it might be not exactly historically accurate. Things might be colored or biased, I guess.
Yeah, it could be. There are parts of the whole thing could be a complete fabrication on the part of the writer. You know, I mean, I doubt that would serve much purpose as far as from Bungie's perspective of providing that to us. But they bring up the fact, I think, in the book that it could be deceptive in some ways. And I think they want us to keep that in mind, that there could be embellishments, there could be things purposefully omitted from the story, such as Nokris. So,
well, I mean, what's the quote? History is written by the victors, and until Oryx faces us, he's never been anything but a victor.
Very well
there's no one left in his path to say that anything in there is wrong.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, our buddy Bushman Bob, a whole bundle on Lysander, please.
He's been coming up a lot lately, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that might mean that we'll see some involvement in Destiny 2. I mean, if the tower's going to fall, and there's this guy outside the tower that was exiled who has beef with the former tower establishment, that might be an interesting character to interact with in Destiny 2. Like, I guess, so I can say this, one of the things that I want the most, I just want to be able to choose. Like, anything in the game beyond just my character's face and
Yeah.
class. I would like for there to be branching paths. That might be a lot to ask for a game of this style. But like, if anybody was ever like, do you want to go just join the Osiris cult and follow that storyline? I'd be like, sign me up. Osiris is awesome. Do I want to go hunt down Toland in the Ascendant Realm and explore that? Yeah, totally. But no, all I do is run strike missions over and over again for the Vanguard.
That would definitely add some incredible depth for sure.
Well, and to give you a reason to create a character and follow a different path as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would be... They could make it simple and just have 3 branching paths, and you could make some real decisions, and you could say, okay, I got to the end of the content. I'm going to go create this character, and then I'm going to go follow this path. Mm-hmm. That would be pretty fulfilling for me as a player. Mm-hmm. From playing a lot of RPGs in my day too. So,
and having a huge backlog of them we haven't played.
Yeah,
for sure.
But
there's that whole Mass Effect Andromeda thing.
Sitting on the shelf behind
I haven't
me.
even been able to touch it.
Oh man, I'm like
One
60
day.
hours into that game right now. Still
One
not.
day, are you?
Yeah. Still have a feeling there's going to be another like 30 left to finish it. So we'll see.
Zelda for me right now.
Oh, Zelda was so good.
But if you're listening and you're not
amazing.
familiar with who Lysander is, he was a leader of a faction called the Concordat? Is that how you pronounce it? Concordat?
Yeah, something like that. Or the
something
Concordat,
like
I
that.
don't know.
That were they were banished, right, from the tower, from the city. And what was the reasoning for them being banished? What were their beliefs?
What were their beliefs? That's a
I think
really
the
good
Concordat
question.
wanted, they didn't want to put all of their hope in the Traveler, right?
Let's see.
look them
Their
up
central
here.
ideology was unknown. They unsuccessfully attempted to overthrow the consensus and the speaker in a coup. They made a last stand at Bannerfall and were defeated by New Monarchy. And were ejected from the city.
I like
I
how
might
it
be
says
thinking about
to,
a different
according
faction.
to hidden intelligence. Lysander is currently plotting his return and reorganizing his faction.
Yeah, so he's still around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's a good thing they got thrown out because that's what allowed the war cult to rise to the level of the consensus and join the tower. And that's obviously the best faction if anybody had a question.
Uh-oh.
I think that tells you a lot there. And I think it was the Concordat that accused Osiris of being an experiment, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah, Lysander was the one who said that, what was the quote? That Osiris was a Golden Age experiment misincarnated as a human by an inept ghost.
Which is, if you're Osiris, it's quite an accusation. They're like, you're not even supposed to be alive.
Right? That's a heck of a soundbite,
Right.
too, but
Interesting stuff.
sounds more like jealousy to me.
Yeah. But somebody at Bungie's obviously got a plan or an interest in that faction because they came up in a few different ways in the past year. That I think the Dawning had a little Easter egg there where you could actually
That's when you could get the sparrow,
you
right?
get a sparrow that somebody hid some loot there for you. And then what was it before that they came up? Something in Rise of Iron. I can't remember where they came up, but definitely somebody's trying to do some world building there with that faction. Catastrophic 90. There we go. It was like with a K. He wants to know, is it true the speaker is really John Cena? Is that accurate?
Probably.
How
It's
likely
probably true.
is that?
I want to see a scene in Destiny 2 where they're attacking and he pulls off his mask and you just get da 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 and he starts fighting. It was John Cena. Give us another question, Air Knight.
Let's see. I don't want to skip Jay Howard's even though it's not lore related. We can save it for later. Let's just do it now. Hug or handshake at the LA reveal? Well, Gabble won't be there, but Cyborg, I'm going to give you a big hug.
I'm a
buddy.
hugger.
Yeah.
I'm a hug kind of guy unless I just
Big ol' hug.
don't know you. but if I know you even a little bit, you're getting a hug. Sorry.
So 95 episodes every week for the most part is enough of knowing me to give me a big old hug.
Definitely.
Okay, cool. I'm excited.
Here's a good one.
Right.
Novembro wants to know, is there any reason that the invading races haven't just annihilated our solar system? What's so special about Earth that they haven't just blown it up?
Well, let's see, the Traveler, right? Actively protecting us, maybe. Rasputin, Rasputin is now actively protecting us, though he wasn't until we opened up the array. The Vex obviously have a deep interest in our solar system. The Vault of Glass is on Venus. The Citadel is on Venus. They converted Mercury into a giant machine. They don't want to blow it up. The Fallen want to get the Fallen want the Traveler back. The Hive want to eat the Traveler for a snack. They don't want to just blow it up. And the Cabal, like I said before, nobody knows what the heck the Cabal are doing. So that's a good question about the Cabal, and maybe that's why they are able to do whatever it is that they do before Destiny 2 that creates that scenario that we don't know anything about yet.
We don't know what their motivations are, why. It's even discussed. Like, why are they even on Mars and they're not really actively doing much besides exploring, It's not like they're obviously supposed to be a war-oriented, warmongering species, but they're not exactly waging an offensive on any particular class of or race, it seems.
Right, yeah, it makes you wonder if did they get to Mars and they found the gate to the Black Garden and they just stopped and they're like, what the heck is this?
Right.
And they're basically fighting with the Vex over that space, and they just never got farther than that. I don't know.
I told you guys I was just gonna sit back and listen. This is all fascinating. Okay, follow-up question. So we can include you, Gabble. Guardian Con, hug or handshake?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. All right, here's one for real. Fair play. What happened to Eris Morn's face?
She carved out her eyes and replaced them with hive eyes so that she could see in the dark.
Yep.
There you go.
Pretty gruesome.
Super gross.
And somehow added a third, right?
Yeah, because the hive have 3 eyes.
Pretty weird.
And how... Yeah.
I have a follow-up question for you. What do you think her orb is?
Yeah, is that the thing that allows her to hear the voices that she talks about all the time? Like, is it a tomb husk? Is it something like so the original the proto hive, the original the father of Oryx basically had a dead worm that spoke to him, that then spoke to Arash and her siblings, that led them to go meet the worms. Like, is it something like that? Is it a piece of a dead worm that talks to her? I don't know. Cade doesn't like it. I know that.
Yeah. This stuff, it's like it's really classic. The classic phrase, there's no stupid question, all the way from the why not just blow up Earth to her little orb ball. It's like, how did they think? There's an answer for it all in this lore that has been written and created. How do they think of all of these angles, Like, there's, like, you just answered the Earth question like that, and it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Like, makes sense. That's every single little facet of it has been, this is why it overwhelms me, Gabble.
There's a lot of it.
Yeah.
I find it interesting that there's a lot of questions that you feel like should be very obviously answered in the story of Destiny, but they just completely leave out the if, ands, and whys and buts about this. So I feel like this is a good question. From JTB again, he says, "How does the Queen of the Reef manage to control Fallen, and why does she have her need Fallen bodyguards? Are they from a Fallen house that's aligned themselves with the Reef, or is she controlling them somehow?" So I know this, but I just find it really interesting that unless you dive into the lore, you just kind of have to accept that at face value.
Yeah.
So enlighten us on the where and the how with this, Gabble.
As far as the queen and the wolves?
Yeah, her control over the house, in the Fallen.
Sure. So the Fallen, the forces of Earth were fighting the Fallen, and all of the houses were gathering, and the wolves were on their way, and basically, had the wolves made it all the way to Earth, it appeared that the Fallen would have defeated us. The Awoken saw the wolves and said, "Well, we could either stay here hidden on our reef, or we can reveal ourselves." Nobody on Earth knew who the Awoken were at that point, or knew that they had this a sovereign state, I guess, whatever you want to call it, out there on the reef. And so they chose to intervene and to not let us get
annihilated,
basically destroyed. Yeah, and so because of the nature of the fallen society, basically she defeated the wolves' Kell. She claimed the cipher, which is what allows a Kell to control the flow of ether that Fallen require to survive, and that allowed her to claim that she was now the Kell of the House of Wolves, so they followed her.
And there you go. That's you can read that story as it kind of played out with a lot of the grimoire that came with the House of Wolves. I forget the name of the
Maraid.
There you go. Yeah. And it's kind of told across the entire battle and how it went down that was occurring at the same time that the Earth was under assault. I guess it wasn't the Battle of the Six Fronts, was it? It was Twilight Gap. Yeah. So while that was going down, little did we know that the reef was intervening and basically taking on a huge House of Fallen that was on its way. And it's a pretty cool story. I would encourage you to go look that up, look up those cards and read it, and you'll kind of see how she ended up being a Kell of a House of Fallen, and that's why they kind of are even around. So, and that plays into what happens in the House of Wolves expansion. That whole storyline and how Skolas shows up and etc. Kind of plays out through that story. So it's a good one. It's a goodie. Aaron, you got another good question?
Got one from Dreadnought. How did the factions play a role in Destiny 2? If no speaker, New Monarchy would want Zavala to lead. Does Dead Orbit bail on us? Do we get all of our weapons and armor from future war cults? What do you think about that?
As long as the war cult's still around, I'll be happy.
Right.
You're fine with that.
Dead Orbit can go. They can go do their thing. Whatever. I would assume they're not going to leave. But yeah, it's interesting because given the very, very, very tiny peak of what we've seen that the state of things in Destiny 2 is going to at least start out at, you would think that's a bad enough scenario that we're just going to have to abandon all those different ideologies and come together and just fight to survive. But that's how the game appears to be starting. So maybe by the time we get to the end of the game, we will have dealt with that particular problem and all of that stuff can come back. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
That's a good point.
I'm looking for one that kind of played off a question that's been in my mind, trying to find where it was. Here's a good one that Eric asked. He said, why do Void Walkers, or at least used to, blink and Blade Dancers do as well? Are the abilities not tied to the subclass element?
No, abilities are not specifically tied to the element of the subclass. Abilities are, they're not even locked in place. We have examples in the Grimoire of Guardians developing new abilities. It's like the basically there's this energy source, and over time people figured out how to manipulate it in specific ways, and the subclasses that we know are just the ways that have become popular and common to manipulate the energy source now. But 100 years ago, people were doing slightly different things. The hunters actually learned to blink from warlocks, just for the record.
For the record.
That was borrowed.
Yep. So I guess
you might say stolen.
A good way to think about it, and you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, Gabble, but it'd be almost like fighting schools. So like if you decided to learn Kung Fu instead of Krav Maga, they're like kind of schools of thought and schools of so how we have different classes, you choose your class, and it's almost as if, you decided, okay, I'm going to go learn the ways of Kung Fu, and that's going to be my fighting style, and that's what I'm going to study. And so they're kind of learning how to use the light to learn abilities, and it kind of carries on through these different, subclasses, kind of how, with Taken King, they were like, okay, you got to learn how to be a Sunbreaker now. So you're going to go to the Sunbreakers, and they're going to teach you how to channel your light and use these new abilities. It's not specific as if like, I guess technically in the game, it's like, yeah, you can only have these abilities. But if you were a Guardian and you wanted to do something new, if you could figure it out, kind of like magic, you could do it, right?
Yeah, if you had potentially decades or maybe even centuries to devote to developing your own suite of void-based warlock abilities, maybe you could be a completely different kind of void warlock.
Yeah.
But that's not the opportunity we're given, right? We get raised and thrown into the tower and taught, here's what a void walker is like. Here's what you do. You throw these grenades, you blink. Yeah, it's something that has developed over ever since the first Risen existed. They've been figuring these powers out and tweaking them, and stuff like there's a quote from Akora in one of the Grimoire cards where she talks about hunters figuring out how to create flame using nothing but void. Well, that's a void wall grenade. They just figured that out one day.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. And I think you'll kind of see, I imagine, more of this kind of play out in Destiny 2, because it's my assumption that we're going to have new subclasses with new abilities. And to kind of tie that into the story and the lore, it's likely that we're going to go have somebody teach us, they're going to introduce you, a new school of thought, a new way of fighting. If you talk to Aphrodite in the tower right now, she'll tell you through the first quest that you finish with her, the first time you might do Iron Banner, she alludes to the fact that she's been with other Guardians in a hidden part of the system that believe in a different way of harnessing their light that's peaceful somehow. So, I don't think that there's necessarily a limit or boundaries to what the Guardians have to or can do with their abilities. It's pretty much just tied to, what do people figure out? What can they come up with?
For sure. Yeah, I would even go so far as to say that when someone is risen, it's not like, oh, you're risen and you're a Titan. It's more like, oh, you're risen and what's your particular ideology? Are you this kind of person? Are you that kind of person? Oh, well, you fit in better with this group, so go learn from them. Oh, well, you just learned a bunch of hunter abilities because that's where you sort of fit in. It's not this thing where you just are a hunter or you are, it's a lot more fluid than that. But the limitations of being a video game means you've got to have some kind of rules that you got to follow to play the games.
Right. Mm-hmm. So we probably got time for like a couple more. So you got some questions here you saw that were good we can bring up.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to pick one of Snatching Pandas out, kind of related to what we might be learning more about soon. What, if anything, do we know about the Red Guard?
Nothing except that they're going to do bad things to us in December or in September.
And their leader is Gary.
Yeah, there's Gary. Yeah, there's no mention there. That's a completely new Cabal faction that we've never heard of before.
All right.
Easy answer.
Let me go through here. I mean, there's so many good ones. It's tough to pick out just one. Let me pull one.
The Derp fam. They like instantly fill it with questions.
Here's one. AVG Joe 227. Do you see Rasputin being an enemy when another war mind is woken?
An enemy of the Guardians?
I think so.
No, I think if another war mind, if there was another surviving war mind, and if it were ever revived, Rasputin would just take over it. Whatever. Rasputin is so far beyond anything else at this point that I just don't. He's going to do what he's going to do, and we can't control that. And he has his plan for how he thinks he's protecting humanity, and sometimes uses us as a resource, and sometimes helps us out. But I don't think Rasputin would suffer any rival if another AI were to come online. I think it would just get shut down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think you got to keep in mind that he's not necessarily an ally in the strictest sense.
Right.
And that's alluded to many times, and especially like even Lord Saladin was like, yeah, he's not just a war mind anymore. He's more than that. A lot more than that now.
Well, there's a quote from Zavala about the fire team of Guardians that was sent to investigate Rasputin, and they found their bodies strewn across the Cosmodrome.
Yeah.
Not to mention, the hundreds of Iron Lords that Rasputin killed. Don't mess with Rasputin.
Well, thanks to all the Dirt Fam for submitting these awesome questions. There was a bunch more.
Yes.
Fortunately, we can't get to them all, but you may be able to find answers to a lot of this stuff in Destiny Ghost Stories episodes.
Yes.
Definitely cruise through their feed, and you can find, the way that they do their episodes are very topical and focused around a central idea or piece of the lore. So it's great.
That's what I did today. I'm driving and I scrolled down. I'm like, wow, it was really that early on? Okay, there's Trials of Osiris. Boom. It's probably the second or third time I've started listening.
That's the one Swain Stash was on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was real early.
Yeah, it was. I was scrolling for a minute.
Yeah, and just for some perspective, I want to say, if you put all of our Books of Sorrow and King's Fall episodes together, it's something like 16 hours.
Wow. Yeah, I always look at how long your episode is. Like this Trials of Osiris was almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
And some of them, you guys definitely can talk about it for a bit, which is great for us.
There's some that push 4 hours.
You guys, the most recent ones, you've been doing Vault of Glass, right?
Yeah, so we're 3 episodes into the Vault, and I had to step out towards the end of the last one, so I'm not exactly sure where we left off. We're hopefully releasing this tomorrow or the next day, but I don't think we're to the Templar yet, and that's like probably 8 hours in. And not to the Templar. Wow. But that's because we spend the whole first episode talking about just background about the Vex and what the heck the Vault is. And then the second episode was all about Kaber and his fire team and what happened to them. And the third episode, we finally actually are like, okay, now we're going to go in the Vault and talk about that. So we probably got 3 or 4 more episodes just dedicated to the Vault of Glass because it is so dense. It's this thing that you can blast through in 45 minutes. But with all the stuff that's actually going on there, it's maybe the most dense part of Destiny.
Well, see, that's the other great thing about your show is your tangents should be completely relevant too, whereas ours are about Jinkos.
Yeah,
man, but
you guys do a better job of keeping it on topic than we do.
But hey, we seem to entertain, so we'll quit bashing our own show.
No, but the reason to go back and listen to the early episodes of your show is for your personalities, and that's what brings the people back. It's not just the news.
Not Jinkos.
It is sometimes the Jinkos. The Jinkos will definitely sometimes bring in a certain crowd.
Yeah.
If you wear them, they will come.
Your show's great. Yeah, they will come. We appreciate all of I just can't imagine the research and the show notes, and you guys joke about people buying your show notes. Like it's we appreciate it. We appreciate everything you guys definitely do to put your show together. So it's It's got to be quite the task.
Oh, wow. But, I mean, we enjoy the heck out of it, so it's a lot of fun.
Well, that's good. Everybody is benefiting from that love very much. Well, I think it's time, guys, to wrap this segment up and move on to some Derp Fam discourse. You ready?
I am always
Awesome.
ready.
We've got some speak pipes this week. First,
Speak pipes are hot and heavy.
oh, they're coming
lately,
in
man.
strong.
They're back.
We've got one from our friend down under Bushman, Bob. So let's take a listen what he has to say.
Hey guys, Bush and Bob here, wanting to thank Genius93 for the shout out challenge and obviously for the whole team at Derp for everything they do for this community. Without you, I wouldn't be as addicted to this game as much as I am. Cheeky shout out that I'm really looking forward to working with Genius93, RNG Cast and Destiny Addicts podcast with the Sundowners charity stream on the 20th of May, 5 to 7 p.m. on Eastern Standard Time with Genius93, where he can show off his smooth Hawaiian tones with his new Blackout Yeti. Also wanted to put a shout out to the world famous Jay Howard for all his help with Derp and the community members. Anyway, shout out for next week could have been for many Guardians, but for me, Biopause, you're called out for the next Speed Pipe Challenge.
All right, Bushman, thank you so much for that speak pipe and the shout outs. We're glad to see you, I believe, have a little venture with Genius, a podcast of your own, which is very cool. Very cool. But real quick, passing the challenge along to Biopause. You've been challenged. The good old speak pipe challenge is back. But Bushman mentions Sundowners charity stream. Gabble, you've got a little more info on that, right?
Yeah, that May the 20th, that's a Saturday. So I know that X-Ray and I, and maybe others, but definitely X-Ray and I will be on, I think it's midnight to 2 a.m. We're taking that shift.
What time zone is that in?
Very cool.
I think Central, but I'll check with X-Ray.
Cool.
there's a calendar that Sundowners has put out on their Twitter, so we should be able to.
So they're doing a charity stream over that weekend at twitch.tv/sundownersgaming. And what is the cause that they're raising money for?
It's for.
Does it stack up?
It's Stack Up is one of them. We talked about it. X-Ray did all that.
I see Help for Heroes, stackup.org.
Because there's like a Canadian charity
and
this time
Canada
too.
Vets Emergency Transition Services. So it looks like it's all oriented towards veterans, U.S. and Canadian veterans, which, those guys can always deserve help in our fundraising efforts. Stack Up, I know, is a service that helps. They basically handpick deserving veterans and pay for them to attend life-changing video game and geek culture events, which is pretty cool. Bungie's done some work with Stack Up before as well. They also do supply crates, so they put together care packages with video gaming and nerd goodness that they deliver to deployed veterans, which is, I've talked to a bunch of veterans who have told me, like, it's a huge deal when they get anything to alleviate boredom when they're deployed, because they have limited access to a lot of stuff. And then they also do work to help veterans coping with PTSD and transitioning to civilian life, which I know the Canada Vets service also does transitioning services, which I think is really important in our culture. So
it's great stuff.
Yeah, so go check out that stream over that weekend, and definitely go check out Gabble and X-Ray's portion of that, and be sure to stop in there, and if you can spare $1 or $100, however much, go give a donation to a worthy cause.
And speaking of the individual for our next speak pipe, isn't Hidden In doing a little streaming?
He sure is.
Yeah.
He's a couple slots ahead of us. I was just looking at
it's like
that.
7 p.m.
Yeah, that's so. Nice. 7 p.m. Eastern. We're at 1 a.m. Eastern.
Awesome. Yeah. So
another awesome.
Speaking of Hidden, he's got a speak pipe for us. He's going to be on that stream as well. So of course, Derp fam should go support him as well while he's streaming for this cause. But yeah, he's got a speak pipe for us, so let's take a listen to this one.
Hey guys, it's Hidden here. Just wanted to drop a speed pipe real quick. We're on the eve of Destiny 2 premiere, and we're almost 100 episodes in to Destiny Reset podcast. And I just wanted to send you guys the thanks. I'm super excited because GuardianCon 17 will be the 2-year anniversary of Derp, and you guys were going to be able to meet for the first time, have that steak, and all that jazz. Crazy, right? How could it get any better? Bungie was like, hold my beer, GuardianCon. Destiny 2 premiere event? Bam! Seriously, though, thank you for the two of you just to get together and making this podcast and being able to help form this great community around Destiny and the Derp fam. And I cannot wait to see where Destiny 2 takes us, the game, the fam, just the community all together. I can't wait to see everybody Derp fam related at GuardianCon. And more than anything else, I can't wait to hear about your guys' story at Destiny 2 in the premiere and everything involved. Thanks so much for everything you guys do. Have a great rest of your evening. Have a safe trip.
All right, Hidden in. That was a lot of Derp fan feels in that speak pipe, and we appreciate it.
Absolutely, man.
Yes, we are. It's funny he mentions about us meeting at GuardianCon. We talked about that. I've thought about it several times. It's like maybe it was last week I mentioned it, that would we ever thought we were going to meet a little bit sooner than that at the
Right.
Destiny 2 premiere. I mean, it's just crazy. All because of the Derp fam. I mean, Hidden and spot on. No question
Absolutely.
about it. So, Derp fam hype. Anyways, thanks for that speak pipe, dude. Next up, we got 3 speak pipes this week. 3 speak pipes. And a couple in the backlog for saving them for another episode. Anyways, Blue Ranger. He snuck one in.
Yeah, at the last minute.
I think he did. Let's take a listen, see what he has to say.
Yo, what's going on, everyone? I'm the Blue Ranger back. It's real late, so I'm sorry if I sound tired, because I am. I just wanted to really quick toss in there a really sincere and honest thank you to the Derp fam and everyone who helped me reach the goal of actually getting to go to the Destiny 2 reveal. I don't know how I would have done it without the help of my community and the Derp fam. And I really want to single out Jay Howard, who came in huge, offering up his services for free in return for tips towards my trip. I cannot thank you enough, and the Derp fam as a whole. You never cease to amaze me. I'm sorry, I'm tired. I'm stumbling over my words, but I really wanted to make sure I got this out there. You guys are incredible. I can't wait to meet so many of you at GuardianCon, and I really hope to meet even more of you in the future. Hopefully I can make it out to some of the Derp fam events and whatnot. So thank you all so much. And Cyborg and Arrow, thank you guys for putting together such an amazing group of people. I cannot wait to meet you in LA. I'm so excited. I'm besides myself. Thank you guys so much. I'm just gonna keep repeating it over and over again, but thank you. Just thank you.
Dude, thanks for sending that along, man. We're super excited that you're going to be in LA as well. And the Derp fam definitely showed up to his stream. He did a 24-hour stream last weekend, I think on the 6th, to raise money to help get him to LA. And I know for a fact that along with his community, the Derp fam definitely showed up and gave and supported him. And I know he's super, super thankful for that. He expressed that to me personally, how supportive everyone has been to him in addition to his community. And so, yeah, I can't wait to meet this cat as well and hang out and get some grub and some beers together and see Destiny 2. And
so fun.
It's going to be a fun summer, guys. That's all I want to say.
It is.
We got a fun summer ahead.
Yeah, we're gonna have to take plenty of pics
Absolutely.
for the fam. Tweet it out.
So,
yeah,
if you're a listener, you can look
cool.
forward to a lot of fun, exciting pictures and coverage from the Destiny 2 event, next show, and in continuing shows and over the course of the summer. So we are super excited to bring that to you and to all of our listeners and Derp Fam members alike.
Thanks to you.
Thanks to you guys. We're able to do this, and we could not be more excited, as you can tell. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
But I think that's it for Derp Fam Discourse this week, guys. If you are listening and you'd like to be a part of this, you can leave a SpeakPipe at speakpipe.com/Destiny Reset, and you can leave SpeakPipes like the one you've heard, or if you have a question or a topic that you'd like to hear us talk about on the show, you can leave it there, or you can send us an email at destinyresetpodcast@gmail.com. Send us your emails sometimes, and we will read those on the show and talk about what you would like to hear. That's your chance to be heard. Mm-hmm. All right. That's it. I'm out. I'm going to go
Later.
Snack, guys.
Peace.
Y'all can wrap this up, right?
Yeah,
All right, cool.
We got it, man. Go
Starving.
get some rest. Go get some rest. Get some food and get some rest. All right. Anyways, Gabble, anything else you want to throw out there, dude? And if nothing else, where can they find you everywhere that they can?
Basically Twitter, GabbleRatchet98. The show.
Is the 98 significant, or was there 97 others?
There's a story behind that would add another 5 or so minutes onto your show.
Oh, okay.
But we don't have to go into it. But it is significant.
No, this is a cliffhanger. The next time you're on.
All right, there you go.
Yep.
There we go.
We can go into it.
So that's your Twitter, right?
So GabbleRatchet98 is Twitter. The show is D-Ghost Stories on Twitter. I think we're on Facebook at facebook.com/DGhostStories, but that's a smaller segment of people that use Facebook over Twitter. So
Perfect.
Too many characters required on Facebook.
Pretty much.
Aeronite, where can people find you?
You can find me at those usual places. Twitter at the Aeronite, and YouTube and Twitch is Aeronite.
Perfect. You can find me at Cyborg Sasquatch on Twitter and Twitch. And then finally, you can find us
new logo
at Destiny Reset on Twitter. And you can cruise on over to our website, www.destinyresetpodcast.com. That's your source for all things DRP, including link to subscribe to us on your podcast listening app of choice. Please do. And then also, if you want to join the Derp Fam, the amazing community that supports us and the show and each other, you can look for the Bungie logo on our site. You click that, it'll take you right to our Bungie.net group. It's open. You can join that, even if you're a member of another clan and just want to link up with the rest of the community. You can do that, and there will be a post in the forum written by the intrepid Aeronite, and it will tell you how to get involved, how to join the Discord, etc., etc. So that's where you can find us. We got any iTunes reviews this week, man?
I was going to say real quick, anybody listening that still hasn't joined the Derp Fam, there's no requirement to do so.
It's never too late.
But it's not too late. We are not playing it up at all. If you join, there are many friendships to be made.
Absolutely.
So if you'd like to play the game with some other like-minded guardians, don't hesitate to join the Derp Fam in every way possible that Cyborg just mentioned. But iTunes reviews, we got 2. We're just, once we hit 100, man, we're just cruising now. It's pretty amazing. Help me with this first one.
Ojisan_Neo.
Get your help. There you go. All right. And then our Velvet J.
Perfect.
Who also mentions in his review, sorry, Arrow, because he's also a warlock. Guys, I just got to say, I don't have anything against warlocks. I played a warlock for a while. All right. But I appreciate it. I am still a Titan.
Taking over.
Okay. Thank you for those reviews.
Thanks for the iTunes reviews. If you listen to us on iTunes, if you have not, please do us the pleasure of leaving a review. It would be greatly appreciated, and it helps us get in front of more listeners, which we love. It's excellent. All right.
Gabble, thanks again.
Oh, thank you guys. It's been awesome.
Thanks for joining us, man.
Welcome anytime. You can help me in my lore venture and not have a panic attack.
Hold his hand and read him the
every time I
grimoire
try to dive
out loud
in
while he goes to sleep at night.
Please.
Yeah,
if you could just do a solo podcast, that would be great, because your voice is soothing Not that the other guys isn't, but that would work. Except when if I stop moving for more than probably a minute, I fall asleep. I don't know about you guys. After a long day, it doesn't take much for me to fall asleep.
Oh, yeah.
So you'd probably put me right to sleep.
Bedtime stories.
All
with
right. Anyways,
Daddy Gabble.
Daddy Gabble. There you go.
That's it.
Start with D is for Destiny, and then we'll go from there. All right. Sorry, guys. Until next week, have fun playing Destiny, and take care, Guardians.